What's up, Atlanta? Thank you so much for joining our show today. I told you earlier there was a couple things I recommend you learn. The first thing you need to do is take a problem-solving class. And the problem-solving class is going to teach you how to solve problems. And the first step in problem solving is to identify the problem. Whoever has a problem, has to identify to the other one clearly what the problem is. The problem-solving model requires you to ask the other person to restate the problem so you both understand you're talking about the same thing before you can go to solutions. So once you do that in marriage, the second step is identify causals. The third step is to identify potential solutions, right? Now here's the trick though. I want you to learn problem solving, but in marriage, I want you to throw out step 2. I want you to get good at expressing what the problem is and then getting the person to say back to you what the problem was. So you're both on the same page. No one has accepted responsibility yet, and no one is at blame yet, right? So once you understand what the problem is, forget about step 2. You don't need to get into who caused the problem. That crap is for business. That crap is when you're out in the workplace and you're trying to fix a car and you're trying to figure out what caused the issue. In marriage, it's not important. I'm taking you out of your comfort zone. It's not important to figure out what caused the problem or who caused the problem. That's not important. The important thing in problem solving in a marriage is to be on the same page on what the issue is and then figure out what the solutions are. Because you both are adults, you both are smart, you might have college degrees. Clearly, you can come up with solutions for a given problem as long as you're not fighting and you're not running, right? The reason you can't come up with solutions to fit a problem is because you're fighting or you're running from each other. That's what arguing is all about. So if you can eliminate the argument part by making sure you understand the problem, and then you're making sure that you bring solutions, and both of you are very smart. You can bring in solutions. You already know what the solution is. He already knows what the solution is. That ain't your shortfall. Your shortfall is the second step where you are arguing and fighting and blaming, right? Throw that out altogether when you learn how to problem solve. Guarantee you will revolutionize your life with your parents, with your siblings, with your neighbors. It'll change your entire life. Don't waste your time on what causes the problem. Next time you get into a thing, make sure you understand what the problem is and say, okay, what are we going to do to fix it? Jump right to fix it, right? Because that's all you care about is coming up with a fix. And once you get the fix, you want to make sure that it's repeatable so that you don't have to worry about that blame part. It's going to be repeatable. Whatever you agree to do, like in my case, I can never, ever go back and say, I don't want to vacuum, right? I can never do that. Now that we've come up with that solution, I can never go back and say, I'm not going to do the vacuuming. I can never say I'm not going to clean the windows, right? That ain't part of the conversation, ever, right? That's the first step. The second thing you need to learn is negotiating skills. Or some people may look at it in terms of conflict resolution, but negotiating skills is very specific. Because negotiating skills teaches you one basic premise. You will never get what you want, totally. And therefore, you have to be willing to give up some stuff as you get some stuff. And that's the way both sides work. Neither side will get 100% of what you want. And therefore, you have to decide what's really important to me. And then what am I going to give up for the other person that's important to them? That's the way negotiating skills work. If you learn that, it will absolutely change your conversations when you're trying to describe what the problem is and you try to come up with a solution. It'll totally revolutionize the way you approach that with them. And then the third thing is you need to learn how to develop an action plan. Now, many of you probably learned that at work, and you really don't see the need to do an action plan at home. That seemed a little too structured. But believe me, right? If you identify a problem and then you come up with solutions, somebody better write down what you agreed to. Somebody better make assignments on who's going to do what. And then somebody better write down the date they're going to do it as part of the implementation day. Because if you don't do that now, of course, your spouse is going to say, oh, geez, I didn't do it because I was going to do it next month or next week. You'll remind them, you'll beat up on them because it's been 2 months ago. He will beat up on you because you forgot to do something because you didn't write it down, right? So do what you do at work. Once you agree to stuff, put it on an action plan. It doesn't have to be a fancy formal action plan. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Just go on the web and search for action plans. Get a form, fill it out, because the key things on it is, what is the action that we agreed to? Who's got this action? What's the date they're going to get it done, right? It's a very simple process. Y'all know that works in business, right? And then at some point, while you're having breakfast, part of your breakfast decor now should be, let's sit down and go over what happened last week. My wife and I have been doing that for 30 years. We'll go out on one of our dates on Saturday, and we'll say, well, what's going on last week? What happened in your life? What happened at work? What happened, whatever, right? What happened with the kids? All that stuff we talk about. And for the most part, we know what was on the action plan, so we don't bring the actual document because we can kind of have it memorized. But if you're going from fighting in your marriage to this new process of agreeing to stuff, it might be helpful to just write it down somehow. And there's no harm in talking about it and saying, you know what, in the beginning, we need to literally write this down so that we don't forget what we talked about and we don't forget what we agreed to, right? You both agree to that. That way it doesn't seem as cold and as impersonal, right? And then at some point you may get away with just sending the person a task. Okay, so here's what I agreed to from our discussion this morning, and here's when I'm going to do these things. And then by you sending it to them, you expect them to send you a text back with the stuff they took responsibility for and when they're going to get it done. So you can make it a little bit less formal, but you have to do that part. And I guarantee you, if you do those three things, you learn those three things, learn problem solving, and then throw out the what caused the problem, step 2, throw that out in marriage, right? And then you take negotiating class. You can probably go right to YouTube and find a class right now. You can go to a college. For those of you that didn't know this, let me just put a pen in here for a second. I learn stuff all the time. I go to take college classes all the time. What some of you may not realize is that most colleges in the United States will offer you free classes as long as you're not looking to get credit for it. So MIT, one of the leading scientific universities in the world, you can take classes there for free as long as you're not looking to get credit. Now, if you're looking to get credit, you got to pay for it. But if you're looking to audit the class, they call it technically, if you're looking to just sit in on the class and learn, and you're not looking to get credit that you actually did it, then you can do it online for free, right? So you can go find negotiating classes in a whole bunch of places for free, problem solving for free, right? If you want to do the more quickie, short version, you can probably go to YouTube and pick up a 20-minute video that'll teach you everything you need to know about solving a problem, or negotiating, or how to fill out an action plan, right? And if you don't have that, send me an email, and I'll send you some of the experts that I follow in business who are experts at each of these topics, and they know exactly what to do. Because some of them, I follow them because they were experts, and I constantly learn and refresh my knowledge from them, the experts, right? And until next time, have a blessed day.